We've looked at my favorite games, now it's time to look at my least favorites. Long have I waited to make this countdown. In fact, it's been 6 months since I made my list of my favorite games. The rules are as follows. Only games I've played, 1 game per franchise, no satire games like Baldi's Basics, and no games I hate ironically, like Fortnite. And there will be some games on this list that people happen to like. So if you see a game that you like, it's fine. It's your opinion that the game is good. I just don't like it personally. So without further ado, let's go! Skylanders Imaginators. If I want to be honest, this entry is kind of a filler one to make it to 10, because I don't think this game is bad enough to truly deserve a spot on this list. I genuinely had fun making my own Skylander, which was the gimmick of this game, as you can tell. But that's about where the fun ends. The main problem with this game is that it's way too short. There are only 10 chapters, which each take only 10 minutes to beat, and they're pretty forgettable at that. Superchargers may have had 13 chapters, but at least they were longer and were well designed. It sucks to see this series go out on such a low note, but I'll still take this game any day over the top 9. Okay, am I the only one who thought Minecraft Story Mode actually had a bit of potential? Because we all thought the Lego movie was gonna suck, and look where that ended up. Because instead of a cleverly thought out story, we get the same lovable losers become heroes crap we've gotten for decades. It even breaks Minecraft's own rules a lot of the time. How did Ivor get the command block in survival mode? Why is this Iron Golem attacking innocent bystanders? How did Ivor make this Wither Storm? Because I tried it and it didn't work. Why is everything in this world so goddamn confusing? Also, the voice actors all sound so tired and disinterested. Almost as if they came for a free pizza and nothing more. It doesn't help that it's put over bad lip syncing that reads out dialogue that's either nonsensical or just an unfunny pop culture reference the genie would cringe at. And on top of all that, your choices don't even matter in the end because the ending is always the same. I'm sorry, isn't this a Telltale game? Oh yeah, I heard Season 2 is much worse in every way, but I haven't played it and don't plan to. Phineas and Ferb, Across the Second Dimension for the DS. Now, what was it that Meta527 II said in his video on this topic?
Now I know what you're thinking. It's a license-based game. License-based games are almost always bad. Well, back when we were kids, we didn't really know license-based games were bad.
Same thing applies here. Just a bland, easy, really forgettable platformer that covers like a minute of the original movie. Next. Kinect Adventures. Here is where the games start to get terrible. I can't believe I wasted months of my childhood on this boring minigame collection. And there are only 5 too, which to be fair is kind of expected with this being a tech demo for the Kinect and all. Oh yeah, that's right, the Kinect. Rather than using remotes to cash in on the Wii like Sony did, Microsoft decided to make a camera that detects your movement. This is a great idea, but it was executed in the worst way possible. The Kinect does a horrible job of picking up your movements. Even when I'm standing still, it thinks I'm having a seizure. If I had a time machine, I would go back to 2011 and disconnect this game from my childhood. I'm sorry. Okay, let's dissect this title together, shall we? Ahem. Family Party? Since when has my family ever joined in on a game with me? 30 great games? Doubtful. Winter fun? Ha 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 ha. No. Yeah, I'm sorry D3 publisher, but your game isn't great or fun. Just a blatant attempt to cash in on the Olympics. Sure, there are 30 minigames, but many of them feel like the exact same thing. They also give you way too much information on how to play them, and it isn't even worth it since the controls are absolutely abysmal. They rarely, if ever, follow your commands, even if you have a Wii Motion Plus equipped. Couple that with low poly graphics and some of the most annoying voice clips of all time, you have a recipe for one of the worst games on the Wii. Sonic 06. Make way for the only game on this list that you'll happen to find on the common worst game ever list. And just what did this game do to earn that title? Let's see. It's got loading, bad graphics, an out-of-character cast, glitches, Princess Elise, realistic Eggman, a convoluted story, mock speed, filler missions, more glitches, more loading, bestiality, crappy dialogue, lots of loading, the kiss scene, and to top it all off, we're only at number 5. When Sonic 06 is only at number 5, you can tell that the rest of the list is going to be one dumpster fire after the next. But before we get to that, I would like you to know that this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, the most ambitious game of 2019. Look at these graphics, it looks just like a GameCube game. Raid offers anything and everything you could ask for in a game, such as a cliched storyline, an auto-attack feature which throws this game's already repetitive gameplay completely out the window, and over 400 champions to bet all your hard-earned money on. Raid Shadow Legends is free to play and has a near perfect score in the App Store. We totally didn't pay a bunch of idiots to give it 5 stars, but wait, there's more. Refuse this offer right now and you won't have to know the pain and suffering of many gullible 10-year-olds who saw all their favorite YouTubers read off the same solo script for a quick buck. Okay, just kidding. Frick Raid Loot Box Legends. At number 3, we have a game so frustrating it'll make Dark Souls look like Kirby Star Allies. Give it up for Ghosts, apostrophe N, Goblins. Seriously, I would be lying if I said Ghosts and Goblins was not the hardest game I have ever played. And for the wrong reasons too. For starters, Arthur moves so slow, and you can't adjust your momentum in midair, so if you made a bad jump, that's it, you're screwed. The screen will also be filled with enemies at times, some of which have high HP and indecipherable patterns, which makes them hard to kill due to your inability to shoot upwards. And many of the enemies are put in flat out stupid positions. And who the hell thought of Arthur having only 2 hit points and minimal health pickup? But you want to know the worst thing about this game? Once you beat the final boss, it turns out the room you were in was an illusion, so you have to do the whole game all over again. No, thank you, Capcom. At number 2, we have what I consider to be my most disappointing game, and one I have quite the history with. Plants vs. Zombies 2. Let's start by going all the way back to 2013. I had just played through the original Plants vs. Zombies for the first time and loved it. It even made an appearance on the list of my favorite games, so as soon as I found out there was a sequel, I tried it out immediately. And I liked it. Well, that is, at first. I was pretty disappointed by the fact that you had to pay real money to unlock some of the plants, as opposed to in-game coins like in the first game. Now the coins are only used for power-ups and luring you into ads. Classic EA. I lost even more respect for this game when Dark Ages came out, with its overwhelming difficulty and more expensive premium plans. But being the dumb 9-year-old I was, I still liked the game. And then Big Wave Beach came out and I realized what I was in for. I was bombarded with low tide after low tide, Gargantuar after Gargantuar, and had no choice but to spend all my parents' money on power-ups. It was at this very moment that I realized what kind of game this really was. A series of cheap gimmicks and level design you gotta pay to get past. Okay, enough personal history. Now let's talk about the actual game. It sucks. The gimmicks in this really suck. They were fun in the first game, but now they're flat out broken, ranging from freezing all your plans to overly buffing the zombies with, admittedly, catchy music. It takes away all the strategy that made the first game so awesome and replaces it all with mindless spamming. What's that? We're only 10 seconds in and you don't have a full column of sun shrooms? Take this excavator. It definitely won't screw you over. My next complaint is the store. The only way to obtain a large portion of this game's plants is to buy them for ridiculous prices. And many of them aren't even that good, so you'll still have to rely on power-ups, which cost coins, and the best way to obtain coins is to hand over your wallet. And keep in mind that this is only at number 2. What abomination could be worse than a sour note of a finale, the Chicken Little of Telltale Games, a bland new reality, the worst tech demo ever, a collection of garbage, a compilation of glitches, a scam that won't go away, the definition of clunky, and this. Paper Mario Sticker Star. Long considered the worst Mario RPG and even one of Nintendo's worst games, and for good reason. Let's get the most common complaint out of the way first. this game throws everything everyone loved about its predecessors into the trash. And to call the result bad would be a compliment. This game is so poorly designed it isn't even funny. Most of the time, the levels are bland, empty, and lifeless. That is, until you come to an puzzle, where all you need to do is use a very specific thing, and they give 0 pointers as to what or where it is. This makes it so you're practically required to look up a guide. I know hand-holding isn't exactly a respected part of gaming, but I would actually welcome a bit of it here. The battle system is just as bad, if not worse, than the overworld gameplay. Instead of incorporating actual strategy like a normal RPG, let alone the original two, all you do now is pick one item, try to kill the enemies with it in a single turn, and watch the enemies try to kill you. Rinse and repeat. You don't even level up in these battles. All you get are coins, which you use to buy stickers, which you use to waste on more pointless battles. The bosses suck too. Not only are they just buff versions of normal enemies, they're also unwinnable unless you find a very specific thing that the game, again, doesn't tell you anything about. Yeah, so the gameplay is a complete disaster and all, but the writing has to be at least decent, right? Haha, no. This game has some of the worst writing I've ever heard in my entire life. The story is literally just the same Bowser kidnaps Peach crap we've had since 1985. Only this time they threw in some plot devices, or royal stickers as they're called in the game, which raise a lot of their own questions. Where did they come from? Why are they so important? Why does Bowser suddenly not talk after being the best part of the RPGs for 15 long years? Speaking of which, you know your character roster is bad when the only one with actual writing is one of the worst the entire franchise has seen to date. Everyone else is a generic toad blurting out the same unfunny paper joke every 10 seconds. That is this game's humor in a nutshell.
Look, I'm paper. Isn't that funny?
But you want to know what seals Sticker Star at the top of the list? Back when Super Paper Mario opened to a lukewarm reception after becoming a platform RPG, Intelligent Systems decided to go back where they all started. And then Shigeru Miyamoto barged in and said that it looked too similar to Thousand Year Door, and demanded some changes. Says the guy who made the same game 4 times. Refusing to notice how much everyone loved the first 2 Paper Marios, Miyamoto decided to change everything. Storyline, gone. Characters, make SAO look like Xenoblade. Humor can make the annoying orange cringe. Design, a horrendous blend between stale and cheap. Battle system, completely unbearable and doesn't even give you anything worthwhile. And yet Nintendo still published this garbage. In case you didn't know already, Nintendo isn't exactly a fan of releasing games that they think the fans won't like. In fact, Metroid Prime 4 is being completely reworked for this reason. So Nintendo released this game to lots of backlash from fans, and Miyamoto didn't even learn his lesson. He used the same formula for Color Splash. Granted, Color Splash isn't as bad as Sticker Star, but the damage was already done. Making stupid changes to a formula everyone loved and not learning your lesson is how to not be a businessman, let alone a game dev. It's almost like giving your fans the middle finger. In conclusion, Paper Mario Sticker Star is bland, soulless, unfunny, poorly designed, and a massive insult to its fans. I'd rather go to school in the US, binge SAO, read Raylo fanfiction. Hell, I would rather rewatch the Emoji Movie than even think about this god-awful excuse of a video game. It's so bad that it made me question why I'm a gamer to begin with, which is something that not even Plants vs. Zombies 2 was able to pull off despite the 6 years I spent in its chains. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it's fine if you like Sticker Star, but for all of these reasons, it will forever be ranked as the worst game I have ever laid my hands on. This has been the Gaming Platypus. I will see you when I calm down.